What's up, guys? Today we've got the S21 Ultra versus the S23 Ultra, and yes, I'm going to compare the S23 Ultra to all of my older flagship phones, especially the Samsung ones and whatever else you guys request, and we'll bring the S23 and the 23 Plus on as well for comparisons as promised. Alright guys, so this is a pretty good one. The S21 Ultra is literally one of the best phones that you can get right now, price to spec ratio goes. It's just amazing for the price. I did a whole video on it. It's around $400 here in the USA in the used refurbished marketplace like this one. This is a refurbished one. And I just absolutely love it. I love recommending it to people, and you'll see why when we compare it to, you know, the $1,200 S23 Ultra here. Alright, so first off, hardware. This is actually a big one because a lot of people prefer the look of the S21 Ultra. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Which phone do you guys think actually looks better? A lot of people like the cutout of the S21 Ultra, and I can definitely see why. When Samsung made the switch with the design, I was okay with it because this reminded me of an LG Velvet. But I do like the cutout on the S21 Ultra. It does have like a futuristic, sort of just Terminator look to it. It's got just a really cool tech look. So I absolutely love that. Hardware wise, they feel about the same in weight. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant. They both have a matte finish, so they don't really pick up fingerprints. But they do have different sort of body styles here. So the S23 Ultra has a more boxy body style, and this one has a bit of a curve on the edges. So it fits into the palm much better. So I do like how the S21 Ultra feels in the hand, honestly. Just feels much better. It's not as boxy. It doesn't cut to the palm. Also, one hardware difference that you'll notice is that with the S23 Ultra, there's an S Pen, and you have no S Pen on the S21 Ultra. Now, what a lot of people don't know or they forget is that the S23 Ultra, or not the S23, but the S21 actually has pen support. So you can see, you know, Samsung sells a pen with the case for the S21 Ultra, so you can buy it separately, but it actually still works. You can actually still use the pen on this thing, no problem. So all that software features are there. Yeah, and it works pretty much just the same. So the only difference is you have the pen built into here. So I would say if you really want a pen, buy the case, and the case is not too expensive, but buy the case with the pen in it, and I think that'll be sufficient for you guys, honestly. So, you know, it's not a big deal. But yeah, hardware, that's pretty much it for the big hardware differences here. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays on both of these phones here. So the S21 Ultra, it does have a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and it is 120 Hz HDR10 plus, 1500 nits peak brightness. It's a 1440p display, 515 for the PPI. The S23 Ultra has a 6.8-inch display, also 120 Hz, and then it gets up to 1750 nits peak brightness. So it is a slightly brighter display when you're outdoors at max brightness. And also 500 for the PPI, and again it's a 1440p panel here. So basically, I really do like both the screens on these two phones. They both pretty much look identical, and again you see the different screen size, or it's not sizes but shapes here. So you can see the more boxy shape versus the more sort of curved shape, and they both have these minimal curves to them as well. And again, if you have smaller hands, the S21 Ultra is going to be way easier to hold because it's not as wide. If you have bigger hands, you probably don't care, but that's one thing that I noticed. So for these two phones being so big, the S21 Ultra is more comfortable. But as far as these screens go, it's pretty much the same screen, guys. 120 Hz, they're both super bright. Yes, the S23 Ultra is a little bit brighter outdoors, but it's not really by much. So you're not really getting a upgrade when it comes to the screen here. They both pretty much look identical. Alright guys, let's talk about these specs a little bit more here. So we got the S21 Ultra. It is upgradable to Android 13, One UI 5.1, and after it's done with its major OS updates, it will get 5 years of security patches as well. So this phone has an extremely long lifespan. And then we have the Snapdragon 888 processor on this phone as well, with 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM on this model. I think this actually might be 256. But anyway, on the S23 Ultra, we have the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, and then this model is 512 gigabytes, and then it is 12 gigs of RAM on here. You can see the Geekbench scores here. You can see not really a big difference with the single core, but there's a kind of a big difference with the multi-core score. Now, as far as your general speed, you're not really going to notice too much of a difference when it comes to the overall app launching smoothness with animations. It's pretty much the same thing here. It's not really a big difference at all. So for real world like use, you're not going to notice too much of a speed improvement here. They pretty much feel on par with each other. Like I said, both 120 hertz, so they're silky smooth. And yeah, so me just using both phones, I did not notice overall smoothness anywhere. So now let's talk about the overall gaming experience, because to be able to, alright, so if I was a gamer, there's really no reason to upgrade, because again, they play at the same settings. They both feel very consistent with frame rates with pretty much any game you throw at it. Again, the biggest difference that I found is that the S21 Ultra does get hotter than the S23 Ultra when gaming for long periods of time. And then also the battery life is better on the S23 Ultra as well. So if you're gaming, you won't have to plug your phone in as much. So that's definitely one thing that you might like. But overall, like, would I upgrade off of gaming? No, because they're too similar in terms of performance. And yeah, it just depends on if you're a hardcore gamer, and that matters to you about the heat and about the battery life. If you're just a casual gamer, you won't notice any type of a difference with these two phones. Like I said, they both play at HDR Extreme, and they're both really fast, blazing fast phones when it comes to gaming performance. So you'll be good there. There's not really a big upgrade here. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out these speakers on both these phones. We're at max volume. We'll start with the S21. Yeah, so the S23 Ultra is definitely slightly a little bit louder. It's overall has a little bit more detail to it, but the speakers are actually very close. It's just you have a fuller sound, and you can hear the low notes on the bass a little bit better on the S23 Ultra. And like I said, it's slightly a little bit louder as well too. But they're so close that, again, not a massive upgrade, but the S21 Ultra, it already has some pretty impressive speakers. But I do like that they improved these speakers from the S22 Ultra with the S23 Ultra. These are sound really good this year, actually. Also, let's talk about the other additional features here. Both phones have NFC, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. The fingerprint scanners pretty much feel the same. They both have face unlock. Like I said, they both have pen support, and they both pretty much have the same software features as far as Samsung desktop support, secure folders, wireless charging. Basically everything is still the same software wise. Alright, so let's talk about the cameras. So again, the S21 Ultra's cameras are so good that I didn't see a massive difference overall. Like, I personally wouldn't upgrade because of the cameras. I'm just keeping it real because they're just way too similar. So the S21 Ultra, while it does have a 108 megapixel standard, it does have a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto that does 10x, and then another 10 megapixel telephoto that does 3x, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It does have macro capability, shoots in 8K24, and then a 40 megapixel selfie cam on here. And then it also has the fancy 100 time zoom on here as well too. It takes great photos at 10 and 30 times as well. It's just a very capable phone. I think the average person is not gonna notice too much of a difference here. So yes, you do have the new 200 megapixel lens on here. So yes, dynamic range is going to be better. Overall, you'll have a little bit more detail with shots. You also have a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto, the same setup pretty much, 10 megapixel optical zoom, and then you also have telephoto with 3x optical zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide. It has the macro mode. It shoots in 8K 30 this time though, which is actually pretty decent. 12 megapixel selfie cam. So the selfie was improved. I know you're wondering why I went from 12, because on here it's 40. This went to 12, but this does take kind of better selfies, kind of. I took some side-by-side stills for you guys to check out. And it also the selfie shoots in 4K 60. So I took some side-by-side stills so you guys can sort of see where I'm coming from here. Alright guys, here is the S21 Ultra video. Here's our 10x. Tons of detail here. And then here's our 0.6. Alright guys, here's just a little test footage of the S23 Ultra here for the video. The 3x, 10x. As you see, just look at the detail. It's really, really nice. Very, very impressive. And we do have a 0.6 on here as well too. So just awesome image quality here, man. Alright, so battery life here is where honestly is the biggest upgrade if you want to keep it real here. So the S23 Ultra, they both have 5,000 milliamp batteries, right? They both have 45 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging. The big upgrade here is because of the new chipset on here is just more efficient. The S23 Ultra is getting like a day and a half to almost 2 days of battery life if you're a light user. The S21 Ultra is typically will get you around a day of battery life or around 6 hours of screen on time. Yes, the battery life is much better. Not only that, but standby time is so much better on the S23 Ultra as well. It's pretty impressive, and I have a live wallpaper running on here too, which is even more impressive. So battery has gotten a pretty nice upgrade here, so that's definitely something to consider. I think that's the actual real upgrade, not the speed, not the cameras, not the design. It's really the battery life. But if that is not enough to get you to upgrade, I don't think you need to upgrade. You can keep your S21 Ultra here. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.